If you hear a kid out around the corner woods crying for help, ignore it, especially at night. That was what Uncle Stevie told my brother and I as children, and to anyone new that walked into his local watering hole. His go-to story was when he was 25 and allegedly followed the sound of crying to what looked like a boy huddling on the ground in jeans and a red t-shirt, cradling what appeared to be a broken wrist and arm. When Uncle Stevie stooped down to him, he noticed that the boy's clothes were just colored fine hairs surrounding a mouth that started at his shoulders and ended at the feet. Stevie ran off from this bait and told the story ever since to anyone and everyone. His story spread like wildfire. I never believed a thing that mimics a hurt boy to eat people, and I thought the entire thing was made up by my uncle to get a little fame around town. My brother, however, believed Stevie's story like holy doctrine. To settle it, we went out to the woods many times to find this boy. Despite our uncle warning us not to, we always found nothing, and argued that the sound of us arguing was chasing it away. So we parted ways to explore our own section of the woods, and agreed to return home by 5. By 5, my brother had not returned home. I had to lie when questioned. Nobody could know we were even close to the corner of the woods, and I feared my punishment more than I feared my pig-headed brother's well-being. I also figured that the woods we were in was a patch of man-made forest, less than an acre big between a few large apartment buildings and a supermarket. Even if my brother was hurt, I figured someone would come along and find him. But my brother did not return. When the police questioned me, I said I didn't know anything. They didn't press a 7-year-old. They found my brother the next morning. He had fallen in a gap in the earth and wedged himself in, leaving only his head and a bit of his hand exposed. He broke his arm in the process, leaving him defenseless against the crows that had picked most of his skull clean. I learned later that at least 20 people had heard a boy crying for help that night. One even remembered my brother saying that his arm was broken. All of them said they avoided the cries because of my uncle's story. Ever since my girlfriend broke my heart, my life has been in disrepair. I still wasn't used to the slightly run-down studio apartment, but it was cheap and close to my work. I became a loner, romantically that is. I still had my group of friends who supported me when times got hard, but this emptiness left a hole in my once completed heart. They were all becoming steadily worried for me. Work, sleep, rinse, repeat. Over and over, each day became more routine. Years passed and my existence was still stagnant. Work was monotonous and repetitive. The walls of my barely furnished apartment became comfy and familiar. It was only when a friend came to visit me that the daunting realization of the buildup of entangled litter that scattered my room became apparent. We stood there, astounded by the mess I had created. A few hours went by and my life had started its journey to repair. We clinked pints at the job well done at the local pub when the next stage to my recovery was discussed. I was introduced to a dating app. My friends helped create my profile for me. I shared hobbies and interests, and we compiled my best photos from Facebook. After a few days, I got a match. She seemed perfect. Same interests, she was intelligent, well-read, and beauty to match. No photos of selfies with tigers or Machu Picchu. I nervously sent the first message. No chat-up line or just hi. I tempted fate. My friends told me to try and be different. So I asked, would you rather have fingers as long as your legs or legs as long as your fingers? I waited and waited. My mind wandered for hours until I was consumed by pathetic self-loathing. I was stupid to think that she would respond to a message like that. I threw my phone across the room and lay face down to mask my tears. The vibration from my phone caused a rattle across the wooden flooring. I rushed to grab it. She replied, "Haha, good question. I think I would go fingers as long as legs so I could play basketball." After that, whole days were filled with messages to meet each other until finally we decided to meet. 8 p.m. this coming Friday. I got ready for the date. Booked the day off so I have time to get myself ready and make the necessary changes. Amazon packages were broken down by my room's door from the items I bought in preparation for the night. I arrived early at the restaurant and waited for her appearance. She was even more beautiful in person. As she arrived, I slipped my hand in my pocket to feel the cold steel of my latest purchases. If she thinks that I was going to be hurt again, she was wrong. The knife in these handcuffs should be enough to deter her from leaving me. I hate husbands in horror movies, especially the supernatural movies. Every time their wife says, I think I just saw a creepy ghost literally eating our children in a corner, the husband scoffs and calls her crazy. Every time. Until, of course, he himself sees something terrible and decides it's time to believe her. I resolved never to be that husband. If my wife told me something was happening, then by God I was going to support her all the way through. So when she told me she'd been finding her belongings in strange places around the house, hidden under the bed, shoved in the back of the fridge, stacked precariously on the TV set, I believed her when she thought it was a ghost, especially once we confirmed that there were no signs of a break-in. We made plans to find a medium. We debated calling a priest. We went to bed together, our love stronger than ever due to the trust I'd shown in her, my willingness to believe. But now, my wife is dead, and my breath is slowing, and I can feel myself slowly following her. And tomorrow, another news story will come out, decrying the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning, warning everyone else in our neighborhood to make sure their detectors are properly functioning. Maybe I should have been more like those husbands after all.